Hey everybody, Oleg here, and welcome to another episode in our interview series where we interview some of the top producing real estate agents around the country. I'm super excited today. We're going to be interviewing a gentleman by the name of K Watanabe. K joins us from Arizona. The guy is just super impressive. Built a team, a 16-person team in the last 5 years, has done over 1,000 transactions with them, has been closing between 350 to 400 transactions a year over the last few years consistently. The guy is just, he's just laser focused on what he needs to do, and he's extremely good on team building and development. So no matter where you are in the business, whether you have one assistant or have 3 or 5, you're going to definitely learn from Kay. I hope you enjoy the video. Kay, thank you for taking the time to join me today. One thing that I'm just fascinated about you and your business is just how fast you were able to really grow your team. And I think, when I think about a lot of the different real estate agents that I work with, just a lot of the just super hungry, want to grow. They're out there daily grinding, making phone calls, working on their first hire. Some of them have their first hire, and I think the biggest struggle that I see with them is that they are having a hard time with hire number 2, hire number 3, hire number 4, and you've been able to scale a team so well over the last few years, and your numbers speak volume. And so the question that I have for you is, if I'm a real estate agent looking to grow and I want to be the guy that does 300 loans or transactions a year, 400 transactions a year, and you clearly have done it, what's after that first hire? What is hire number 2? What's hire number 3? What's hire number 4? What does that look like? How do you scale it? That's the first question. And the second part of the question is, how do your job duties change after that? What are you focused now on? What are you spending your time doing now? And how are you able to keep that all together? So anyway, I'll just kind of let you go and take it from there. But that's kind of what I would want to know watching you and knowing what you've done over the last few years, which is just nothing less than impressive, especially on real estate.
Hey man, thanks for having me. It's been an amazing run, and I joined the core. I think I'm about the same time you did, and it's been amazing to watch you grow as well. But when I first joined the core, it was me and just an executive assistant, and let me tell you, I stressed her out because she was like my everything person. I jumped into the core. I did 37 units, and when doing 37 units with just you and an assistant, especially if you're not organized, can be pretty daunting. My hire after that was me hiring a buyer's agent. Okay, and right now there's so many different ways to hire a buyer's agent and different things that you can have them do. You can go with a salaried model. You can go with a split model. Early on, I did hire a 50-50 buyer agent because I didn't have a lot of revenue coming in, right? I started understanding my P&L, and I saw that I wasn't making a bunch of money. There was more money going out into like internet, and I just wasn't a good business person at first. So I went the safe road, and the safe route was to hire somebody where I didn't have to pay a salary. So that was my second hire after having my executive assistant.
Okay.
I brought that person on when I could consistently do 3 transactions per month. Once I could do that, then I know that I could go out there, prospect more, slowly start to release maybe some of the buyers that were a little more difficult. Some of our lower end buyers, even though we want to take them, because taking them, they're very predictable, very leads come in every month for those type of buyers, and it's because that's how I started, right? That's what my database was. So started to give that over to my buyer's agents, which led me to prospect a little more, especially for higher price point people, and getting into more of the networking scene, going after joining these groups out there. Okay, getting my name out, and that's how I first started to learn some of the bigger clientele. I slowly focused more into the listing side of the business.
Okay, so let me just stop you there for a second. So just to make sure I'm hearing this right. So the second hire is the buyer's agent, which at that point you are now having them handle a lot of the clients that are looking to purchase. They're out there showing homes and everything. And so what you do with the free time is you start and I think this is the biggest takeaway here, you start growing your business by focusing on a completely different pillar of business. So you're not just saying, hey, I'm going to bring in more of what I got and just you're saying, hey, I'm going to build out a different pillar, which you decided to go after business people. And then you started building that up to get higher end clientele. So now all of a sudden you're having them free up your time so that way you could spend more green time on targeting business people and different referral partners and building up your price point at that point. Is that correct?
Right.
All right, perfect. Now you said also you said either the salary model or the split model. Initially, it was the split model because of fear, but now I'm assuming everybody's on the salary. Is that correct?
Everyone on my team, if you're in sales, you're on a salary.
All right, perfect. Now, if you don't mind me asking, what is the salary range in Arizona for a buyer's agent?
Salary range is a fixed base income of $36,000.
Okay.
There's potential that could, pretty close to double that, right? If they're hitting the minimum marks. And so how I break it up is the first sale of the month, they get a $500 bonus. Second sale of the month is $1,000. Third sale is $1,500, and it just keeps going up in $500 increments from there, and it resets at the beginning of the month. The minimum expectation on my team, if you were a buyer's agent, is to close 3 sales per month.
So essentially then at that point, you're making a bonus of $3,000 a month plus your base of $3,000 a month, and you're making about $6,000 a month, $72,000 a year as a buyer's agent. That's your goal, is to have them do 3 transactions a month. That's the goal, correct? All right, perfect. Now, are your buyer's agents bringing in any business, or are you, and I know everybody has friends and family here, but I mean actually prospecting, or are they more servicing what you're bringing in?
They're more of servicing what I bring in. We carry anywhere from 40 to 50 listings, so phone's always ringing. Internet, we don't really have too much in terms of what we paying for internet, but just having that many listings, you will get internet leads anyway, which we found out.
Yep.
So they're always having stuff to work on, but during the key is when they have downtime, right? They made all their pipeline calls. We have them do open houses or networking events.
Okay, got it. So essentially, you have a strategy where, hey, if you have downtime, you either go to open houses, do networking events, so you're doing some form of lead generation. All right, perfect. So now, buyer's agents number 2. What's number 3? What's number 4? What does that look like as you continue to grow?
So once we started growing in, what I found out for me and what I found out for buyer's agents, that we were very bad at following up with leads that weren't what we call slam dunk leads that were ready to buy within 30 to 60 days. Okay. So my next hire, I did hire a leads coordinator, ISA, dialer. They're all the same thing.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Okay. So number 3 is you hired somebody to get on the phone and just pretty much pound the phone, right?
Take all incoming cold leads. Okay, so your cold leads would be your sign, call, internet, and if we did an open house, we would hand over our lead list to them. They put it into the database, and they would assist us with some of the people that weren't quite ready yet, with the monthly calls or the bi-monthly calls, setting them up on their internet searches, following up with them every month, checking in so that we're always in front of them when they were ready to go again, either get pre-qualified or go look at a house or sit down to go list the property. Then this person will send it back to us.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So then that person then schedules them to meet with one of your buyer agents at that point.
Buyer agents at that point, or if it's a listing appointment, they would come back to me.
Perfect. So just for whoever's watching, think about this for a second. You have your buyer's agent out there trying to sell, showing homes, doing all that, and then you have these leads that have gone cold, or maybe they have never turned into a hot lead. And so what you've done is you've hired somebody that when it goes cold or when it comes in, their whole job is every single day they're following up, they're trying to set the appointment, they're working those leads. Now at the same time too, a lot of people are like, well, okay, why don't the buyer's agents work the leads? I mean, I know the answer to that, but I want you to answer that just because I'm sure this question is coming up for whoever's watching that's growing a team.
I mean, really, it comes down to from every, just looking at my team for a long period of time, they were just really, really poor at it. Not just they were poor at it, I was a poor leader at the time by saying, all right, you have to follow up with these leads. And that's just what it came down to. There was a weakness that I saw with buyer's agents across the board, no matter who they were, across the board, their weakness was follow up. So I said, why even struggle with that? Hire somebody that can do a better job. And then that's where I really started to explode my business.
Yeah. You know what I noticed too? Whenever you have, major parts to your business like lead follow up, then at the same time, consultations and showings and writing offers, the more you break that up into different positions, the better they are at it. Because let's face it, if I'm a buyer's agent and I could go show a home or I could follow up on a bunch of cold leads, what am I going to automatically do? I'm going to go show homes, right? Like, it's not fun calling a bunch of cold leads and all that. I mean, essentially being on the phone, doing all that, it's something that naturally we as salespeople don't really want to do. It's something that we do because we have to, but it's not something that we choose to do. And so I think it's brilliant, and I have that on my team as well. And where the people that pre-approve, they only pre-approve. The people that are following up on leads, they only follow up on the leads. The people that are, and the reason why is because they get so much better at what they do. When you're pre-approving, you have to worry about following up on leads. You're going to be better at pre-approving. When you're following up on the leads, and you have to worry about pre-quals, you have to worry about deals from contract to close. Your follow-up skills are going to go through the roof, and which means that the results that you're going to get on somebody that's mastering one part of your business are going to be so much greater than if you have somebody trying to do 4 different things at once, right? And naturally, the follow-up and the sales part of it really drops off naturally. So I think that's brilliant. So you have number 3, and what does number 4 look like at that point?
A dedicated transaction coordinator. So contract comes in, they help us take it to the finish line. So following up with clients, making sure we have all the correct documentation, looking over our contracts, making sure everything looks good, keeps us out of trouble, following up with lenders, following up with title, scheduling inspections, and making sure they gather all of that stuff. Trying to keep salespeople out selling, not in the actual transaction.
All right, perfect. Now, let me ask you, what does your role look like at this point? You have 4 people on your team. You got your executive assistant, you got your buyer specialist, you got the dialer, now you got the transaction coordinator. What does your day-to-day look like? Are you still showing homes at this point? Are you focused on listings at this point? What kind of prospecting are you doing at this stage in your career?
Really what it comes down to now is just that I'm the guy that has to continue to make it rain. So let me just tell you what I look like. I still show during this time. If you get a really big buyer, or if you get something from an account that you're trying to land that says, hey, Kay, I want you to, take on this client, take it on, right? When you look at it, at this point in my career, I'm not slammed busy. I'm unorganized, right? I'm still working through that, but I'm not busy to the point where I can't still take on some showings here and there. Really focused on listings, but number 1 is prospecting, right? We talk about the greatness tracker, hitting those theme days, making sure I get my face-to-faces in, my lunch meetings in. That's really the focus of my day now. So
your focus is just crushing it on the greatness tracker. That's the key. Day in and day out, crush the greatness tracker. It's funny is because I tell people all the time too, like, hey, whenever I teach the greatness tracker to somebody and they're like, hey, do you still do this? And I'm like, absolutely. Like, this is what I wake up thinking about. And before I go home at night, this is what I got to make sure that everything is filled out. I got to make sure I put more hours week in and week out on the greatness tracker. So it's good to hear you're exactly the same way. The mindset is keep the leads coming, keep it raining. So, okay, now let me ask you, at this point, are you hiring more buyer's agents? Are you then scaling it that way? what does your team look like today? How many, in each of these positions? How big is your team?
So total 8 people that sell and total 8 administrative staff. But now our administrative staff has become so much more specialized, right? Now we have a dedicated person that just handles the marketing, our events that we run, our social media marketing, our gifting, all of that stuff is handled by just one person. I have my executive assistant. She just handles my calendar, my core homework, additional follow-up. I have a lead transaction coordinator that runs her transaction coordinating team. And I have a lead buyer's agent that helps me lead the buyer agent team. So, what I'm trying to do now is trying to get some of that, work-life balance back. Because, man, we went hard these last few years. The last few years have been unbelievable with the growth that we had, the profitability that we have, market, economy, everything's been good. So now for me is how do I get some of my work-life balance back, especially on weekends and not working until 8 o'clock at night. And that is hiring people to accompany me to a listing presentation. My strength in the sales process is the actual presentation and closing. My strength is not sitting there and making sure they fill out their listing documentation correctly. So that's my next hire, is to hire someone to come with me to a listing presentation. I present, I close, they fill it out, and anything that I commit to during that process, they're writing it down to make sure we never forget it. And I'm going
Nice.
the next one. Right?
Nice. So currently right now, just to make this straight, you got 8 buyers agents, you got 8 admin.
Right.
All right. Perfect. So, one thing too that we talked about, and I think that a lot of people are either experimenting with or wanting to experiment with, or it's on the back of their mind, or they feel like they're missing out, is internet leads. And for me personally, I've always stayed away from them. I always felt like, if you're gonna spend the time and the effort and the energy, go and build relationships, go get the hot leads. And I think that if you are working internet leads, I think long term you want to try to get yourself away from that. That way it's a small part of your business. Now I know that I've heard that you've done some internet business, and I heard that you're kind of getting away from that. And I just wanted to ask if you could comment on that, give us your thoughts on if you are getting away from it, why? If you're not getting away from it, what works, what doesn't work, anything you could share about internet leads?
Yeah, so I was in the core, I was known as me and a few other agents we're the internet junkies, right? We're the ones that were spending a ton of money every month. And the reason when I started to understand my profitability for the internet, it was shocking, right? Where we see internet leads coming in every single day. And I'm a call center guy. I mean, I ran call centers before and had some really good call center teams. One thing about the internet, I could never get my conversion rate over 7% per month, which was very frustrating for me. And I thought, you know what, I'm so much better than that with, compared to the national average, with the national average is like 3%. So I'll work it up for you right here. Typical on average, I would spend $10,000 a month on internet. Okay. $10,000 a month would generate $25,000 in gross commission income.
Okay. All right. So you're up 15K.
Okay. Not really, because by the time the split hit, because at the time everyone was 50-50, so I'm up 2,500.
Okay, I got it. So pretty much now all of a sudden you're up 2,500 because everybody's 50-50. But what about your current model?
Current model, the reason why I'm not big on internet leads is still the conversion really, really low. And when you generate so many poor quality leads, people start to just hand pick and choose. Follow up starts to become a little poor. And the reason is because they know, what, the phone is going to ring again tomorrow. It's not their money, right? So maybe it's a little more profitable than it was, but I'm not spending $10,000 a month to make an additional $3,000 or $4,000. Imagine what they teach us in the core. If I could take that $10,000 and pour it into more relationships, better client events, right? Where I'm in front of the lead conversion again, right? That point of sale, getting in front of my past clients, throwing better networking events on my monthly happy hours, giving out better gifts, better closing gifts, better monthly gifts, birthday gifts, referral gifts, all of those type of things will generate so much more warm business that converts 50% plus rather than 5% with an internet lead. So
And you were at 7% internet lead from lead to closing.
That was my best month ever.
That's like the highest I've ever heard. Usually if you're really good, it's 3 to 5% when you count them all.
On average, we were 5%. The
That's
best I ever had was 7.
So your systems were really, really good. Either way, you guys were doing massive follow-up on these.
Huge, huge, huge. So the way we ran it, so if somebody's going to do it, right? They say, I have to do internet. This is what we did. First day, 2 calls. Second day, 2 calls. Third day, 2 calls. Last day, before you put them into some sort of a long-term drip campaign or long-term follow-up plan, they have to make 1 more call. So we made 7 calls before we said, all right, this is going into a long-term, drip or follow-up campaign. What most agents do is they make 1 call, they don't get them, and it's done.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. So ultimately, right now, Kay, you're not spending any money on the internet. You're focused.
$2,000 a month because I'm in a contract. Once that
Got
contract is over,
Got it. So what's the next step for you? Like you've obviously had a lot of success. You have a huge team. It sounds like you keep yourself at the point of sale most of the day. You're managing the team, but you got leaders inside your team that, you got a leader of the buyer's agents that's looking over a lead buyer's agent. You got a lead, executive assistant and all that. So what's next for you? What's that next phase look like? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, so a couple of things for me is we just tested out this new model of a buyer seminar, right? And we pitched it. And you can, follow me on Facebook and you can see how we did it. The reason why people don't do them is because they were poorly managed, poorly planned, and it was a scramble to get 2 or 3 people in that buyer seminar. So I partnered up with another core lender, and I said, hey man, we need to get 80 RSVPs to land 40 people into this seminar. So the way we had a ton of partners. I had my insurance person partner, I had my title person partner, home warranty, home inspection, lender, me. Everyone came in with a big raffle gift, and we shot a ton of videos, ton of videos. Like every week we were shooting a new video. We started our planning 3 months before, packed the room. Okay. Actually, I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed because we had 80 RSVPs and only 40 people showed up. We got 12 pre-qualified people from that seminar. Okay. My goal is to double that. So every quarter, come out with 20 pre-qualified people. Okay. Tighten up that RSVP count. Right. 50% was pretty poor for us, so we want to tighten that up and get the room a lot larger so that I can get up there and sell. That's my point of sale now. Same way we see with the core handling it. Rick gets up there in a group of 500 to 1,000 people and he closes. That's where I can close. I'm starting to see now I need to get in front of more people in a shorter period of time.
So you're really building the brand. You're really building the brand name, the team. You're selling the team, but ultimately at the end of the day, the next phase for you, it sounds like just group sales, right? Events and group sales, and to continue driving the leads in for your team to handle and to the massive follow-up. So perfect. So let's close with this. A couple questions came up, as you were talking. First one that I would have if I was an agent looking to grow to your size would be, what's the like mental barriers? Did you have any mental barriers going from 2 to 4, 4 to 6 that you had to overcome? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, it sounds good. You see it on paper, but just emotionally, like I can't commit to that. I have that fear. Do you have the same fears? Did you have the same fears? How did you overcome them? and so forth. I know you talked a lot about a plan, having a plan. Is it easier once you kind of know, here's the plan, here's how it's going to look like, I'm just going to execute?
Yeah. So early on, just hiring was my biggest fear, right? And even though I knew that I needed to hire to scale to bigger numbers, I saw the hire as an expense. And what do they teach us in the core? Hiring a person is not an expense. It should make you more money, free you up, give better service. So that was a big fear for me. And then one of my coaches told me, you just have to do it, right? Figure it out, do it. And at the time, and I was safe. I was making a little bit of money, but it did add some additional, fire under me to make sure I prospected more. Someone's jumping on my team with a family, kids, they have, mouths to feed. So some responsibility came back on me, which I actually enjoyed, because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't prospect quite as hard.
Sure. Yeah, it pushes you. Like, you don't need motivation when you just wake up and you're driven, right? And it pushes you to a level where you're just driven. So it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is, don't view a hire as a liability, which is where the fear kicks in, but view the hire as an asset, as an investment. And viewing that, now all of a sudden we're trying to acquire more assets, right? From a business standpoint. I love it. All right, perfect. Second question that I have for you is, looking back at it, what would you say is like the biggest, you could say, mistake you made? Maybe it's something in the leadership style. Maybe it's something with lead generation, team. What would be, if you were to do it again, what would you have changed about the way you grew your business?
I probably would have followed the core model a little better, going to that internet model. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, a lot of follow up. You burnt people out that way. Instead of going to the relationship model, right? Getting in front of people, becoming like a real salesperson, reaching out to people, building relationships, following up with them, and figuring out a way, like, I want to bring you some value, okay? Figuring out how to do that, which if I do bring you some value, either through your business and life, then you feel like you want to give me something back.
Yep.
Okay? And that's the model that we're going after now. It was exhausting calling, thousands of leads every year, which it did burn people out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the last and final question that I have for you that I would want to know is, what kind of a client, other than the client parties and the events, what type of database marketing do you do? What schedule do you follow with that?
Okay, so one of the big things that, since now we have such a large database, we don't really mail quite as much. We do a lot more with, e-newsletters, but a lot of videos. Okay, one thing where I saw e-newsletters fail was it was all print. People don't like to read anymore. So we'll use videos through our e-newsletter. Okay, different specials that maybe one of my vendors are offering, right? Or something that is new in the market. Like, we have this program right now, it's called the Pathway to Purchase, where you get a $20,000 down payment grant. Anything like that, you have to shoot a video and send it out to your database.
Got it. So pretty much what you've done is just a ton of video marketing to your database. You're constantly in front of them. You do mailers. How many mailers do you do a year? Like physical mail?
Physical mail now, we're just the top 50. That's it. So
okay.
Mailer once a month. But we've gotten away from mailing to our 2,000 person database. Number one, cost. Right?
Sure.
And number two, you can't check if they're opening it up. How do you know if they're opening the mail or looking at it? With email, you can do all that type of stuff, and you can't send a video through a mailer. You can, but that would be astronomically expensive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. Well, Kay, thank you for your time today. I learned so much about, not only how to grow a business as a real estate agent, but just a lot more about you. Keep doing what you're doing. You're obviously accomplishing great things, and it's great to be a part of it all with you. And again, thanks for sharing, and I hope to see you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care.